Welcome to the Troy Kearns Podcast. We discuss real estate investing, entrepreneurship, and business to help you retire and become financially free. Make sure you share this podcast with someone who could benefit from it and leave us a 5-star review. It truly helps me out. This show will mentor you towards financial freedom. If I can do it, so can you.
What's going on, guys? My name's Kyle Landwehr. Pumped to be here with Troy for another podcast. We're going to see if we can get another viral clip here.
We're definitely going to get another viral clip. I can't talk right now because I just ran up the stairs. So welcome to the Troy Kearns Podcast. We talk all things business, real estate, entrepreneurship. And we're doing our mastermind. We're down here in Kansas City right now. And I'm out of breath because we just ran up 6 flights of stairs. But I got Kyle Landwehr, a former junk king turned father, turned business coach.
Everything else, yeah.
So what's going on with you, Kyle?
Nothing much, man. I sold my junk removal company 5 months ago, so I officially exited that. It was a brokerage a year and a half prior. It was like an interesting structure. It was kind of sold already, but I had to structure it a certain way for many reasons, and sold my consulting business last year.
Do you make any money on that?
The consulting, like selling it?
Yeah. You always hear guys saying they sold their business. Like I even heard it from one of my guests the other day. And I'm like, how much you make? Like,
So I sold the junk removal business for $350, and then I restructured the exit because I wasn't smart enough at the time to put right things in writing. So the people that I sold to were the people that helped me scale the business up. So I sold it to them, but I kept 100% of the equity. They had their separate LLC that I brokered all the business to, and they paid me a royalty that went towards that debt. And then I realized that there was no like minimum payment, which I should have put on there. So I basically like went to them and said, hey, if you guys want to buy me out in full, and then I offered a lower amount. So yeah, I did make good money for, being in my 20s.
so what did you sell it for?
It was $250 roughly was my exit.
That's a great amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when people say to sell a business, it could be for $1. I sold my towing business.
Yeah.
I literally took the cars I owned and sold it to him just on that value alone.
Right. And then with Junk Academy, so we're all transparent here, that was not a big exit, but I factored in, so I took a 5-figure deposit, and then I got a 10% royalty on the revenue that was produced from the new owner. And I was consulting for them to help them scale it. Didn't really go as well as I would have liked, we'll say. And then if they were to exit the company, I would have got 20% of the exit on top of that.
Yeah.
But that deal is out of the way because I was a partner with him in a different business, and I ended up buying him out. So we kind of had to do a trade deal, plus I had to bring money to the table to get him out. So
yeah, business is not always the way the contracts are written, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to restructure things. You have to be nimble. You have to be willing to change things, not be stuck in your way and be like, we signed the contract, it's got to be this way. So it sounds like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've just done so many business deals at this point that are very like strategic that aren't very common. A lot of rev shares, royalties. Everything's been very like creative and not the traditional, sale.
Where does that come from?
I don't know. I'm just I'm a deal closer. So I'm trying to get the deal closed. So if I know that maybe the other party doesn't, can't maybe close the deal, I'm already thinking like 2 steps ahead of what is going to make them say yes, or how can we actually get this deal done? And then, how can we create a win-win here?
You're a real estate guy.
I've done
that's how I close real estate deals. It's like there's a way to get it done. Mm-hmm. But you're not like, if they're trying to buy your whole thing, they can't get an SBA loan. You got to do some sort of creative financing.
So I have a lot of experience with like selling businesses at this point. Not that I've had some crazy exit or anything, but yeah.
A lot is more than one.
You should never sell a business that's been in business for less than 3 years because you can't open up to that SBA buyer. So, it's just going to lower the value of your business.
Should you sell a business with the existing LLC?
I don't see why not.
What about if they got payroll tax issues and tax them?
Well, that's something that you got to put in writing to where when you really dive into their books and all the issues, they would have to take care of those things, where that's going to reduce the price that you're willing to pay for the business.
Got it. So have you encountered that?
Nope.
Are you trying to buy businesses right now?
I would. I've started businesses from scratch. So after I sold these businesses, it wasn't like a life-changing amount of money where I'm beset, where I've had to start new things. And so now I'm starting, 2 new businesses from scratch is what I've been doing. And, it's like, it just reminded me of what it was like 5 years ago when I started a business and how hard it is to get it going versus like, one thing that I learned when I listed my business with a broker was like 70% of the businesses that list with a broker never even sell. So they pull their business off the market and they just close their doors, which is why people are able to buy businesses like real estate and get a great deal, turn that owner into an owner operator, and then you have a business that's already making money. They'll sell or finance it to you.
That's a great piece of information you just dropped. So if you're looking to buy businesses, just call expired business listings.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll say this. I listed my business for $500,000. Like I went to get my company valued. This is my first business. Got it valued. They were like, "Oh, it's worth $700,000. We can go ahead and list it today." And I'm like, "Man, that at 22, that'd feel great. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that."
Yeah.
And the first day we listed, I got an LOI at 6 p.m. and the guy wanted me to make a decision for $500,000 by 8 p.m. And I was like, "I can't do that. We need to extend it." And basically we did extend it, but I signed the LOI and he was supposed to put a $50,000 deposit down of like earnest money. So I meet him up at his country club. He didn't want the brokers there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a man, I can go and talk to this guy myself. And he just, beat around the bush for 3 hours and he was saying weird things that I was like questioning, like, why am I, he's like, yeah, you gave me a lot of information for not cutting a check. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So I left, called my broker. I'm like, tell me right now he put his earnest money in. No, Kyle, we've been trying. I'm like, what am I doing meeting up with this guy then?
Yeah.
So, but I realized that what they try to do, their business model, just like our business model, they're meeting up with people who need to sell or want to sell, trying to turn them into an owner operator, and then seller financing every time.
Okay.
Put minimal money down, run this business, turn you into an owner operator, and that's what they're looking for.
Okay.
So.
Wow. So 2 businesses sold so far?
Yeah, two businesses. Slam Dunk and Junk was the bigger exit, and then Junk Academy as well. But most people say consulting agencies aren't even sellable. So
That's true. You know why?
They're built on a personal brand for the most
Goodwill.
part. Yeah, a lot. Well, Slam Dunk and Junk, I dealt with that. A lot of it was goodwill because you look at equipment. Like I had no equipment really. I had a $5,000 box truck that was making $40,000 a month. There's a lot of good faith there, goodwill. Yeah, so I heard that word a lot, and that kind of hurt my valuation.
So what do you want to do?
I think
Dream world. I know you're doing businesses right now, but I feel like you're destined to great things.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's meant from the heart. I'm not trying to shine.
And I want to be like, I just want to provide as much value as possible. And I feel like I had a lot of success at a young age, but it was like, I just didn't feel fulfilled. It was like, I didn't like the image that I created for myself, where now it's like, now I'm focused on a growth partner model where it's like, hey, let me put my money where my mouth is and let me make you money and let me get paid in return. And then really focus on like, just instead of most businesses that I've ran, I'm starting off at zero every single month.
Yeah.
Right. To where even if I did $200,000 this month, I'm starting at zero next month. And to beat that, it's like every second counts. And it was always a chase and a chase and chase.
So do you think it's a better model to go after what you just told me that you found out, to go to like take all your skill sets that you have and go buy like a plumbing business or go buy like another business that's shutting down and take all of these skills that you're not starting from zero in and refine with all your awesome intellectual capital that you've clearly are good that you're selling to all these other people who may not value it as much as it could be valued on another business?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if I do like take down like a plumbing company.
I'm just giving an example, like HVAC, home services business, something that has like a book of business that you can start making money today.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Mainly like simple businesses is what I'd be looking for. It's not like I'm actively out there today doing it. And I wouldn't say it's all about the money for me right now. It's more about, of course, I want to be making as much money as possible, but I want to do what I like doing. And like that kind of shifted to like the online world. Like I like the online space. I like the info products. Tell me this, name your top 3, like the first 3 biggest influencers, name them right now.
Well, that's a really
entrepreneurs and influencers like on social media.
Like, Well, Elon Musk is like...
Okay, that's not what I was looking for. I'm looking for like, like when I think of like the top...
Alex Hormozy is who you're going for, or something like that?
Yeah, like Grant Cardone, Andy Elliott, like all these people who are really killing the space. There's all one thing in common, and that's like they're all selling info products and events and stuff like that off of their personal brand. Yeah. And I've done like social media. Yeah, I've done social media management. And I've also ran businesses myself that have had lower margins versus a consulting agency that might run a high margin. So it's like, how can I sell to rich people? Well, usually a lot of people that have a lot of money are the businesses that have high margins that are like the consultants.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think, and this is just me challenging you, I think it takes a certain guy to be a Grant Cardone or an Andy Elliott. It's somebody who loves the spotlight. Yeah, and I think like most, I don't love the spotlight. Like I've forced myself to go into the spotlight, and I don't think most people like the spotlight.
I don't like the spotlight, and I've scaled back my social media so much. Yeah. There's a buddy that I know who he runs a social media marketing agency, and he does $6 million a year. But he's like, nobody would know that he exists, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's not on social media. I'm like, man, I have a lot of respect for that guy, and I've started to respect people who like were successful, but nobody knew, where I kind of wanted that. And that's kind of why like I could go and scale like a Junk Academy type of thing that I had before, but I didn't like the way that I was perceived online, to where now I can be the guy on a growth partner side where nobody knows that I exist, but I'm the one who's scaling their business and doing 90% of the work. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
But they kind of got to know you exist, because that's how you're marketing yourself, right?
Yeah, a little bit, right. But I mainly like, so instead of selling, like my junk removal company would do like 2,000 customers a year. We'd service like 2,000 customers. We're always finding new people, where I'd rather find like 10 people and then just focus on those 10 people. And usually like they might give me a referral. Like I've gotten great referrals that have been like 6-figure deals. Like usually the successful people have the best connections. And when they give you those connections, it's like, and I'm only dealing with like longer term partnerships to where we're committed for at least 12 months.
So... you want my recommendation?
Yeah, well, hit me.
Go after attorneys.
So I have I actually have an attorney
Personal
client.
injury attorneys.
Yep.
Only. Pick all the top markets. Those guys spend on average, probably top markets, $200,000 to $300,000 a month in advertising. Personal injury. It's
insane. Yeah, there's a lot of money in that. I have a criminal defense attorney that we work with, and that's been like a really good client. I was actually with him last night. And we were filming for him and that sort of thing. But you're not going to get like, we're not going to get like a rev share on a deal like that. All my rev shares, like I have another client.
But you could on personal injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Growth. So I have a client that he has like a bar. He owns a bunch of bars and restaurants, and I'm helping him do like a bar and restaurant rescue kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
But we found an event space that's a wedding venue, and this thing's decked out, but they don't really have any sales. So we just did a 2-year partnership with them, with a monthly retainer that's pretty significant, with a 20% rev share. So it's like, those are the deals that I'm looking for.
You're cutting your teeth in all sorts of things, is what you're doing.
And that's a problem. That's a problem that I think.
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just, you're an entrepreneur. You're trying to find what you truly love doing, and you're trying a little bit of everything out.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a plan, but the plan could always change. Like, and I don't want to. There's a million ways to make $1 million, and I feel like me doing all these different businesses, I always looked at what I was doing. Like there was another business, like, oh, I could be doing real estate instead of junk removal, and then every single business has their own pros and cons. It's like
there's no con to real estate.
Really?
No. It's got the most goodwill and the most tangible assets out there.
But,
the con is raising capital, right?
I would think that would be the easy part.
I think it's the harder part.
I feel like
people to give you their money, even if you're as successful as I am at real estate, because you're dealing with somebody, generally, unless you're like Cardone, where you've really got it figured out, people are so worried about losing their money. It's like the number one fear that they have from talking to people like you and me online, right?
Yeah, yep, 100%.
Is this guy going to rip me off?
Yep.
Shout out Ty Lopez. I mean, that's true. So, is it going to work for me? Mm-hmm. And so I think that with real estate, you can make so much money and you own the asset. And if you know how to raise the capital and you don't lose people money, which I don't, but I'm not good at raising the capital.
Right. I feel like I would be really good at that.
I would JV with you on that if you were able to raise capital for me.
Easy. Done.
You want to do a deal right now?
What's the deal?
You tell me.
I mean, I feel like I would be good.
I have not lost one person money. I have 350 assets, like 200 single family houses paid off, full, no debt. And I want to go to the next level of scale. I'm going to turn this thing into a multifamily building. I need to raise $6 million to do that. Historical tax credits. And then once I do that one, I'm going to go do the Federal Reserve building downtown. And I need somebody that can raise the capital.
I would need to know, like, there's obviously legal with like a syndicate. Would that be like a syndication kind of deal? Mm-hmm. I would need to know.
Just advertise the word accredited.
There's been somebody that I'm close with that had like a fund with 10,000 single families. So that would be like a good connection for me to get some info.
If you can raise capital for me on this type of a thing, it's just one thing that I don't have the time to do, really, to go have all the interviews. I'm telling you, like, that's going to be my exodus, the funds and taking it public.
So would the buyer need, they obviously have to be accredited. So
No, they don't.
Okay.
You have to advertise that they're accredited, because when you're advertising, you have to say that we're accredited to advertise to the masses. But you could say, if you're an accredited investor, if you don't know what that word is, comment below and I'll schedule a call with you. You could be like, now you're having a conversation. To them, you just have to say the word accredited so you could say it on social media.
Yeah. I mean, 6 million is a whole different story, but like
we don't need to do it with one person.
Yeah. Well, of course we would. Yeah, I would have to do it with a ton of people.
Do you want to know the best way to raise money doing it this way, which is what I'm about to start? Have you heard of the EB-5 visa program?
Mm-mm.
You haven't?
No, I've never.
Oh, you're going to love this. Remember I said attorneys?
Yep.
Did you hear about Trump's gold card?
The people
pay $5 million bucks, yep. Get your green card.
Mm-hmm.
So that already exists. It's called the EB-5 visa program. Most of all of the real estate developments that Jared Kushner did, that all these other guys did, was through foreign money that was invested in real estate that gave them their green card.
Interesting.
So if we targeted attorneys and said immigration attorneys, and they've lost money on these deals. The reason I know about it is that Federal Reserve building over there on 925 Grand was funded with EB-5 money. And it was an attorney who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, funded the deal, and the people are still in it, but they got all their green cards. So their expectancy for return is low, right? Which is great when you're dealing with an investor if their expectancy is low and they get a green card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like a great strategy.
And the minimum investment is, guess what it is?
What?
$1 million.
1 million?
So we need 6 people.
Yep. It doesn't seem that far out of reach.
Maybe that's our viral.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like it started the last way, right? Like we said that. But I wanted to go back to our last viral video. So I did get a lot of hits on that. As you meant like, hey, this one's going viral. The fact that nobody online knows how to scrape data, it blows my mind. Do you know how to scrape data?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can go to Facebook and you can scrape the data there.
Yeah. If I were to scrape data, I would use like Apollo.io. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Apollo.io is like an AI kind of software, but it links up with LinkedIn, so where I can like find my ideal client and put the exact details on there, and then it'll give you all their information, and then you can run a campaign, doing emails or SMS, and then the leads that engage with that email, then you can put them onto like a real CRM as like a potential prospect.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. You have to show it to me.
Yeah.
But on scraping data, you can literally scrape anything through. I actually think it's easier than I was talking about with Python last time. You could use, like, let's ask Grok right now. This is what Grok says. So I was right about Python. It says Python installed, download and install Python 3.8 recommended. You'll need the request library, Beautiful Soup, and CSV. Install them via PIP. Then you're going to need to get Facebook access, logged into the group data, and then it says, legal note, Facebook terms of service prohibits scraping without permission. So if I was to scrape my own group or your group, I'm assuming that we could do that. Obviously, we have to check the terms of services there. Then it says, so since Facebook heavily uses JavaScript, simple request-based scraper work best for the mobile site, which is less dynamic. Well, so the code, it gives you the code right here, dude.
So I have a software for I'm like not that tech savvy.
No, but it's code. It looks like code.
Well, yeah, I don't even know what that is.
That says,
But I use the software, so like a lot of money that I make my clients is through Facebook groups. I've just done really, really well with Facebook groups where I use the software. I'm not going to name it because they should pay me if I'm going to say it. We run people through a Facebook group. So like what I do is I run a Facebook group funnel. You're probably familiar with VSLs, I don't do any of the VSL stuff anymore, and mine's through a Facebook strategy. So I push everyone through a Facebook group funnel, and it pushes them to a free Facebook group to where I nurture those clients. But upon them coming in, I collect their name, number, email, and then there's certain questions that I ask them to see if they're interested in the what I sell or what the client that I'm working with sells. And we collect that information to where we can retarget them through email or SMS at a later date or cold call.
so walk me through the steps. So is this through Instagram?
No. Well, I mean, it could be.
How are they getting directed to the Facebook group? So what is...
So I want to go back just a little bit
Sure.
to make the story a little bit better. But in March of 2022, I was like on an all-time high. I was really crushing it. 275,000 that month. My Instagram got deleted. Yeah, my Instagram got deleted, and I was fully relying on Instagram and getting sales. But I knew somebody who was running a Facebook group funnel, so I paid the guy like $100,000 to learn how he was making money with his Facebook group funnel model.
You paid him $100. You got balls, man. I will tell that about you. Like, you paid Pineda $5,000 to be on this podcast.
25.
I'm not charging you a nickel. That's what my problem. You paid Pineda 25 G's.
25.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it at the speech tomorrow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it paid off. I probably made $200,000 at least off of that. But I didn't. The difference was I went in there and I wasn't looking for an ROI. It was like I wasn't worried about the money necessarily, and it just paid off. And I think that if I was worried about the money, I feel like for some reason maybe I wouldn't have capitalized on it.
Do you think a lot of people pay to be on podcasts?
More than you think.
How'd you come up with that idea?
One of my buddies, he does Airbnb arbitrage, lives in St. Louis he lived in St. Louis where I currently live. And he was doing like coaching. He was doing a webinar once a week, sell them a course.
Yeah.
And he was making $1 million a month at 20. And I saw him grow so quickly, and I saw he was on a podcast, and I said, "Hey man, how'd you get on that podcast?" And he was like, "Oh, it cost me $25,000. I didn't know what the going rate was."
25.
And so I just thought of like a big influencer that I could think of. And I thought of, Pineda, and I DM'd him and said, "Can I buy my way onto your podcast?" And then I just said, "How does 25,000 sound?" And of course, the sales team called me. I wired the money over, and then we did the podcast. It's got 93,000 long form views, which is, fairly good.
That's really good. Pineda's got a great podcast.
So
he's done an exceptional job on his podcasts.
Yeah, and he's been very consistent with it as well. But I actually did it when it was like the Wealthy Way podcast. It was on a different channel other than his Pineda channel.
Is it now? It's not the Wealthy Way podcast?
Yeah, I mean, it might be, but like he had a separate podcast channel. Now everything's on Pineda, and I was before that.
Okay.
But I basically just, I paid.
He's going through some shit right now, I can tell you that.
Really?
He's a good friend of mine. I feel bad for him right now. But I told him, don't do those NFTs.
Oh, the crypto stuff?
Yeah, dude, that's shit. Everybody who got caught up in that whole thing is going to end up getting not in trouble, but it's out there public, so I don't mind. I'm not throwing any shade on him or anything like that. But he got sued by a bunch of people that, did the whole thing, that invested with him. But here's the thing is, if you think that you're going to invest in crypto or NFT and get rich, you shouldn't sue anybody, because it's like you just thought you were going to get money rich. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. And, and I think that's like a sad part about entrepreneurship is like, and I'm like, I used to be this guy where growing up, I looked at social media a lot, and I looked at these big influencers that were driving the Lambos and they were making so much money. And like, it does teach you that you want to go from 0 to 100 tomorrow, and maybe that isn't realistic, or maybe, if it is realistic, it's, you're not going to learn the lessons that you need to like really keep it flowing. Right. So,
that's so interesting that you said that. I had a really great podcast the other day with lady I've done 2 of them with. Her name it's Esther Safarte. And she's a relationship. She's got all these like how to get your man type of things and how to do this. And she said that social media has changed so many people. And you're so young. I forgot that, like, I'm 47. You're 20 what?
I just turned 25 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I'm 22. When you said I grew up looking at that stuff, I'm like, I didn't grow up looking at that stuff, but you're 22 years my junior. And so she said that I was like, hey, what matters in like the grand scheme of things? She goes, well, these days with social media, the money matters. Because I asked, does money matter? She goes, yeah, the women want it because they see it out there all the time now.
100%. Yeah, I mean, a lot of women, it's, money is the most important thing over everything, over looks, and, you see it every day.
Do you think that money's the most important thing?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I'll like skim the surface here, but,
Go deep.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm engaged currently, but when I met Ashley, my now fiance, I was the young kid who all my friends were in college and all I had to do was work on my business all day long. And I had a lot of success very quickly, and nothing was good enough. Nothing was good enough. It didn't matter if I did 100,000 today.
For
it was
you
like
or for her?
For me.
Okay.
It was always for me. But and I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they get caught up in my family wants to be rich, but maybe they never even said that out loud. You just assume that because you think that everybody wants that. But I sacrificed so much time trying to get rich and get successful, where it was like I'm doing webinars at 8 p.m. and taking sales calls until 10 p.m. and always stepping away from my family to make a buck, right? Because I was hustling and I got paid accordingly. But it was like I didn't have any balance in my life to where I kind of realized that, hey, I want my family here. I want to have an amazing relationship with my family. And I also want the money. How can I make all of it work at the same time? A lot of billionaires, the interviews that people ask them, hey, was it worth it? I really haven't seen one where they say it was worth it, because they say, I can't get that time back with my family. And a lot of, when your kids are young, my kid's 2, I get another one on the way in a couple months.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I don't.
She's about ready to get a ring, or she already got the ring.
Yeah.
So when are you going to do the deal? You did it like the way I did it. I was like, she's like, do you want to get married? I was like, no. She said, do you want kids? I was like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first one wasn't planned, but everything worked amazingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just I had to change. Ultimately, there was a time in my life where I had to choose. I had to make the decision, and I was put in a corner of family or work, and I had to figure out how I could make both of it work. And, everyone, my narrative is just a little bit different than what it used to be 2 years ago. And it was changing when I did my last presentation here.
Yeah.
But all I did care about was money initially. But now there's so much more to life other than money for me.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Think about this as well. Every entrepreneur online is pushing this certain narrative where, you got to work every waking hour of the day. And yeah, that might be the case. And if that's what you want to do, all the power to you. I respect it. But, Alex Hormozi's the GOAT. He's posting the best information online. But something that comes from his mouth is, hey, when Christmas comes around, when Thanksgiving comes around, when, family events are happening, don't show up because you should work on your business. And I was listening to that to my heart, right? Because I was trying to get rich. And then it was I realized that, hey, my finances are great, but everything else in my life is just falling to pieces here. To where I just don't think that, in order to get to the next level, maybe that's the case, but that's not the life that I want to choose.
I think that's the most important part of that statement. Because you don't want to choose that life. But what if somebody else wants to?
Yeah, and that's why I want to make it super clear that I 100% respect that, and I'm praying that you crush it and you're super successful. But I had to getting caught up on social media and seeing what all these other people are doing and saying, and then I'm kind of following in those footsteps. It's no, I literally wrote on paper hey, this is what I want my life to look like. When somebody asks you, hey, how's that Kyle guy? How would you describe him? These are the things that I want to be known as.
What's on that list?
I would say when I was just on social, I want to tell you where I thought I was before.
Okay.
And then where I want to be. But it was before it was probably a douchebag, like
That wasn't on the list.
yeah. Well, it was just like I was super cocky, like not humble. I thought I was the shit, and I was influencer. They probably would have wrote that down, entrepreneur, but like maybe family would have felt.
What you want people to write about you?
Or if they were to talk about me, like what am I viewed as?
I thought you meant what you wrote down for yourself. I'm like, you wouldn't
no, I don't want to be no. But I like just looked at the image that I felt like I created, not on purpose, but it was just like got so caught up in it, and I was like, I really do not like that. And then I just I lost myself completely, and like really had to like figure out what business I wanted to run. Am I focused on a big exit? Am I focused on just making money? Am I, and like learning from all my mistakes because I made so many along the way, and like making sure I set my family up for success. But I think that, I want to be super successful. I want to be a guy that, if I say I'm going to do something, I want people to know that they can count on me to do it. I want to like be a person that treats everybody the same. Sometimes like, maybe there's a big time player in the room and you're just a little bit different because that, this person's super successful versus like some random person that, is just trying to get value. Like I want to treat everybody the same. I should have went to the gym a long time ago as well. Like I looked like a toothpick.
I disagree with that statement.
Which one?
Treat everybody the same.
Okay, why?
My wife helped me out with this.
I mean, you can't give everyone your time.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like my wife used to tell me, she's like, you spend too much time with the wrong people. Yeah. Because I used to be the same guy, like treat everybody the same. She's like, you can't have those conversations with people that don't deserve those conversations.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And maybe it's just like my experience with certain things, which is why I'm saying what I'm saying. But like sometimes and I know that you would know the two people where I really felt this, and I'm not going to say the names, but so I had my buddy come in town, Chase Gallagher,
Okay.
and I wanted to buy a Lambo while he was in town. So I bought the car.
Chase, my former student.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So I bought the car while he was in town, and I'm riding on the high, right?
Are you guys buddies?
Yeah, we are buddies.
Oh, Chase is a great guy.
He is super good guy.
Yeah.
I have nothing but great things to say about him.
Yeah. But he likes the flash.
Yeah, and I feel like a dad to him, honestly.
I
really
always have felt like a dad to him.
Because I feel like I just like telling him about my mistakes to where, and Chase said something good to me. It's like, dude, I honestly sometimes now, like you've gone on this straight path, right? You've gone up where I've kind of had one of these stories, and I'm like, dude, I feel like, why are you talking to me? Like, it's like, I was this guy when you initially met me in person, and now I'm like moving at a little bit of a slower pace. I feel like a loser kind of. And he's like, Kyle, sometimes I look at you and I'm like, man, I wish I had a family. I wish I was engaged. I wish I had kids. And I was like, that's a really good perspective, that I wasn't thinking about. But moral of the story, to get back to what I was saying, like, he was like, oh, one of my buddies is in St. Louis, we should meet up with them. And then like that guy was there, but I would say I didn't treat him with the same amount of respect as I should have, because I'm like, dude, why are we meet? Let's go do something else. And that's just like, I guess that's why I say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things. Did you say that out loud?
Not at that moment, but I realized.
I think you can think that way because there are people that don't deserve your respect and your time, and I constantly make the mistake of giving them my respect and my time, and it's not worth it. And you need to value your time more than anybody else does. And so I think that you should treat everybody the same, but you gotta like say, I'm gonna treat anybody that I want to treat.
Yeah, and that's
because like if I treat everybody the same, I'm having a 20-minute conversation with the elevator guy. I'm having a 20-minute conversation with this guy, a 20-minute conversation with that guy, and I'm losing all my time. I think in order to be successful, we actually have to prioritize, which is what I think you've done, is spend your time with the right people.
100%. I've spent $250,000 on getting in the right rooms, not like at a young age as well. So I've spent a lot of money getting into the right rooms around the right people as well, and that's like, it's benefited me a ton.
Yeah. I think, and my wife is the one that's pointed this out to me so many times. She's like, dude, I can't sit and listen to you talk to these guys anymore because I've been like, maybe feel like you don't, that's why with my podcast, I was in the beginning, I was just like, we talked about pre-show. I was rolling through podcast after podcast with all these people that because I thought they had an influence. And I'm like, oh, these are fucking exhausting. Like, I'm not interested in what this person has to say. I don't even care about what they're doing. I'm just trying to blast through another podcast. And then I realized, like, I want to have good conversations, which is what we're having here. I want to have meaningful conversations. And if I'm going to do a podcast with somebody who's a total stranger, then I want to learn from someone that I admire.
Right.
I want to have Carl Icahn. I interviewed Elon Musk's dad. You know what I mean? I'd rather do less podcasts and focus on the people that I really respect and want to learn about.
More value or learning. And, you know, going back to you mentioned like, oh, if you give everyone your time, one, it lowers your value. You know, the more I've separated myself from all of that, like even if you have as much time in the world to take sales calls, I always put sales people on the calls because then you become more valuable, you know, to that potential client. But speaking of balance, speaking of like a balance that I've had to create for myself is like, I want to be really successful and I want my family, like I want, you know, my family to be in check, right? And I want to be able to I want to be as intentional as I am with work, as I am with my family. So I can't have the 20-minute conversation. So like, can I have both? Absolutely. But then the time that I have to like grow my business or whatever matters so much more where you're moving much quicker.
I think my wife's a very wise woman. She says, she told me, she's like,
women know everything, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I agree with that. She said to me, she's like, you know, cause I'll be like, man, I spent so much time with you guys. And she's like, yeah, but you were absent. You were here, but you weren't here. And so I think that like intentional time, right, is more important than time.
See, and I was there, but I wasn't there. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
like, I'm here.
I viewed it as I was there. Right. But I was always in and out. And like, you know, I got to take this call. It was always that. And, you know, I look at this when your kids are young, right? I got a 2-year-old, I got another one on the way. When your kids are growing up and they're advancing, you want to see them, you know, their growth, but your kids look at you, they don't see your flaws. They don't know what flaws are. So they look at you like you're Superman or Batman or whatever superhero, but you're the best person ever. And they're just so happy to see you and they want to play all day long. And the older they get, they might be embarrassed of you. Hopefully not. Right. But they might,
mine are definitely,
they might want to go hang out with their friends and you can't spend as much time with them to where like, I don't want to sacrifice that time now, you know, and a lot of people say, oh, you want to be successful. You need to work every waking hour of the day for the first 20 years. You know, you're not going to see your kids. You're not going to be able to go to the games. Yeah. To be super successful. Yeah, maybe that is the case. But like, again, that's not what I want my life to look like.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a little bit of a compromise there. I don't think that like, I used to feel guilty not going to every basketball practice and every basketball game. And then I'm like, okay, at some point in time, me going to 250 basketball games, like me missing 50 is in the grand scheme of things is inconsequential. And so now it's like me and my wife will swap, you know, versus like us having to go to everything. And I think you just want to be a good parent is what you're saying really there. And when I look at my kids, because my wife will, again, the wise woman, she'll be like, well, Troy, they're only going to be young once, you know? And I'm like, yeah, and my job right now is to raise a man and to raise a young go-getter. And because like you just mentioned, all they want to do is play. And my son, all play, let's go play. And I'm like, my job is not to teach you how to play. My job is to teach you to be a man.
Right.
And so like, there's plenty of time to play. I can tell you, I don't play that much. I'm mostly my quality time with my children. The stuff that I find quality time is, that might not be for them, is to teach them something.
Yeah.
To teach them how to dig a hole for a tree or to teach them how to pressure wash a driveway or stuff like that.
And there needs to be more of that in this world.
Yeah.
You know, because if you don't have somebody who's teaching you those things and you just like, and see, that's another trap I felt like I got caught in. And I think that there's like pros and cons to this. I know there is, where I would hire, time was money. So I was hiring everyone to do everything for me where I didn't have many handy skills myself, or I lost them, you know, when maybe I had them before, where it was like, you know, I want to be able to, you know, it's like, I want to be able to do certain handy things around the house versus have to hire somebody, even though maybe somebody could say online, well, you could, if you're worth $5,000 an hour or $500 an hour.
Let me just stop you right there. That is the biggest bunch of bullshit. And I'm going to say that like candidly. People, listen, I've planted almost every tree, except for the ones that are dead. I've had somebody else plant those on my property. Okay, I could easily pay some guy $350, but I'm going to tell you like this. I still have time to go scroll on social media. I still have time on Netflix. I still got time to plant trees. And then the other day we got bid $10,000 to go and do epoxy the floors of my garage. I'm like, dude, that's the biggest no-brainer, and to figure that out and do that and teach my children how to do that. Like, we're doing it.
Right.
Like, I'm not paying that. So I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, like, well, you're doing a $10 an hour job, and I totally agree with that when you're working. But I don't know one person that's like the most productive person in the world that goes home and is like, I'm just doing activities. Most of the time we sit around at our house and like lounge. That's what your house is for, right? Are you productive all the time at the house?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
If a film crew came by to film what my day looked like, I'd really have to step up my game.
Dude, I do all my own. I kill all my own moles. I feed my deer. I used to mow my lawn, and then that really became a thing.
Well, you got a big ass yard.
It's 11 acres. And then I was like, wait. That was a whole pride thing? And I was like, wait. After doing it for 2 years, I was like, what's a better thing? Teaching my son how to mow the lawn. And then I'm like, you're getting $100. That is a time versus money thing, because that doesn't take any skill.
Right.
And I have to do that every week.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it just comes down to I just want to be, my dad, we have I have a French bulldog, and he chewed one of the drainage things off of our house, out of the gutters.
Gutter.
Yeah, gutter. And chewed it all the way off the house, and to where the water kind of runs straight down to the foundation. Yeah. He's like, hey, let me, he's retired. He's like, let me come do that for you. I'm like, no. We can hang out and you can be there, but I'm going to do it because I want to be able to do it again and not have to ask somebody or for somebody to be there. I want to learn how to do it.
That's good.
So
get rid of your gutters, number one.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of getting rid of gutters.
Okay.
And I like to go, you're like, where are you going now?
Yeah.
But listen, okay. I just had this conversation, Danny and I had this conversation with somebody the other day. And I think the gutter is a big conspiracy. Okay, you want to know why? When you have your house, right? You have gutters in your house?
Yep.
What's the whole point of gutters?
Probably to keep the water away from the foundation.
Right. And what happens when you have a gutter? Where does it go?
It goes down.
Straight into what?
The ground, the grass.
The grass, right next to the...
Yeah, the house.
Right, and it concentrates it in one area, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you just have a roof line and your house is properly graded, the water goes away. Right. If you have gutters, it all goes fast into one location. Unless you have it piped into the ground, then it all goes into one location.
Right. What I was going to do, by the way, was going to be going underground.
That's the way to do it?
So,
or eliminate it altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree with that perspective.
Dude, we had to put gutters mandatory on our house. And my wife's like, oh, she's arguing. We got to do it because it's mandatory. I spent $6,000 putting gutters, and literally after a week, every piece is flying everywhere. You know what I mean? And unless you bury them, which at that point in time, you should really have just a couple gutters and them off the back side of the house, so you don't have to bury everything everywhere, which is how those guys set it up. Because otherwise, you just have a flashing amount of water that creates a bigger problem where water's going absolutely into your basement because that little splash block is not getting it away from your house.
Right. Yep, that's how it is right now. Shout out to the French bulldog. I mean, he chewed the 90 off and everything, so right now it's literally going straight into the foundation. It's like...
Yeah, I just say, you know what? Do yourself one better. Take that gutter and go put some of that Flex Seal on it and a piece of metal and let it go to wherever the next point of access is, or delete the gutters altogether. Just rip them off.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone would love that.
Unless it's in front of the house, who's it gonna bother?
Yeah, it's in the back of the house where the issue is.
Oh. Well, yeah, just rip the whole gutter off.
And we back up to a farm, so.
Yeah, nobody's going to give a crap.
Yeah.
Where do you live exactly?
I live in a rural part.
O'Fallon, right?
Yeah, O'Fallon, but I live in it's an area called St. Paul, so it's kind of a little bit of a rural part of O'Fallon.
Did you grow up, are you a country kid?
No, but you might think so.
Yeah, you got the stash going
Yeah,
on.
that's different, huh?
Well, I think you rock it good.
Okay.
My dad's had a stash for years.
My Ashley loved my mustache, and that's why I've got one.
So is there any future plans to tie the knot there?
Yeah, we're gonna get married next year in Mexico, so we're gonna have a destination wedding.
Smart.
And yeah, I'm super excited.
Where at?
It's in Cancun. I don't Dreams.
Nice.
Dreams. So we just put the deposit down like maybe 2 weeks ago, so it's reserved and everything.
Good for you. Can I give you a piece of advice?
Yeah.
Eat your meal first.
Okay.
Like, dude, I wanted to do a destination wedding. My wife wouldn't have it because I didn't want all the plate liquors. You know what I mean? That come to weddings.
Yeah.
And when we got there, we had a bunch. It was a great wedding. I had a fantastic time, but I never got to eat. Like I spent 35, 40 grand on my wedding. I didn't even get to eat.
I love food, so I'm gonna make sure that before I talk to anybody, I'll probably be eating.
Yeah, that's my best piece of advice. There is just eat, and I think the destination is good because you get really the people that want to see you get married come versus everybody who's like, yeah,
there for a party. That's like a pet peeve of mine. It's like I want, I'd rather have a wedding half the size because I want those people that will be there for me when things are bad or actually care about me versus just being there for the drinks and the food and a good time.
Yeah, believe it or not, a lot of people like to go to weddings for a good time. For me, it's like, okay, that's not what I would think a good time would be unless it's like something I really do really care about.
We would have got married sooner, but it would have taken a while to actually get married, and we wanted to have so my sister, I have one sister, and she's 6 years apart from me, 6 years older, and we couldn't really relate to where I want my kids closer in age to where they can all relate. They're in school together, they're playing sports together, so we decided to have another kid before we got married.
That's cool.
So
you're doing the wedding. Who's coming right now?
Friends, family. I think we got like 100 or so.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely.
Are you driving?
What? Yeah. No, I'm taking a boat.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're from Missouri?
Kayak.
Oh, you're a stud.
I'm just gonna take the river down.
That's good. Yeah, I haven't seen many people do that. But definitely.
I'll be the first.
You'll go viral for that.
But speaking of food, something that you should know about me is I love rating food. It's like almost weird, but everything. I'm such a food lover where it's like I got to go to every place, and I'm like, oh, this is an 8.2. This is
okay.
Where I thought about even posting content.
You should definitely do that.
Yeah,
I think that that always because everybody's got an opinion about food.
The problem is if I were to do it locally, because I'm not traveling all the time, I don't care about coming to Kansas City and hurting some feelings. But like in St. Louis, if somebody's like, yeah, come to my business. And if it's a 4.2, it's going to be hard for me to post that. It's almost like maybe I wouldn't post the video because I don't want to just tear them down.
Why, Dave Portnoy?
He does, yeah.
Is that kind of the vibe you're going for?
Yeah, I like, I mean, not that I'm trying to steal his idea. It's just something I like doing.
Nobody has an original idea.
Yeah.
That's not his original idea.
Yeah, but my whole family, they all know me. Oh, Kyle, what's the rating? Kyle, what's the rating? Even home cooked meals, I'm still rating the food.
So what, have you been out to eat since you got here?
No, I haven't even gone to the hotel yet. I came straight here.
What kind of place are you looking to eat while you're here?
I'm a big, I love bar food. I love bar food. So chicken wings, I love those. Any style bar food, but I like Asian food. I like Italian food as well. That restaurant that you took us to last year, that was really good.
What did that get? What rating did that get?
I can't even remember what I got, but I would say it was in the 8s.
So are you gonna rate tomorrow?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, let us know. Yeah. I've never been there, so I don't know. You're not hurting my feelings. I don't care.
Yeah,
we're going to the Majestic Steakhouse. It'll be a little bit different experience. So I'd love to hear your rating. We'll have to let everybody know.
Yeah, hit me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to see. So speaking of food, what's your favorite food?
I love sushi, I'm with my shape, I'm on the skinnier side, but I can eat
Me too.
The sad part, and this is like, I got to spend double the amount of money as everybody else, because when I go to
I feel so bad for you.
when I go to Chipotle, it's like, other people are getting like a burrito. I'm like, I've got to get a burrito with triple meat and 3 tacos on the side. And then it's like, I'm hungry 20 minutes later.
You got a metabolism that just doesn't do it.
Yeah. But,
is your dad thin too?
No, he's got a belly on him.
Does it catch up then?
Yeah, it does.
So you just enjoy
but
it.
I work out, earlier we were talking about like, that was one of those things. I didn't make the time to like, I wasn't confident with my physique 100%. And I didn't go to the gym. Like, I wanted to be stronger. I wanted to look good. I wanted to be confident, but like I wasn't going to the gym because I was sacrificing that time to
You're
go
doing
make
some
money.
pipes now, I seen.
Yep. Well, I work out. I put on 30 pounds since the last time you've seen me.
30 pounds.
30 pounds.
Wow. What did you weigh before?
170. I was 170, and then I'm like right around 200 now.
And how tall are you?
6'2".
6'2". Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have a.
You bet me money last time.
Yeah. I won, didn't I?
Yeah, but I had shoes on, or maybe I had shoes on. I still don't even know if I believe it. You said I was 6'4", but I'm like 6'2".
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But I do remember I was betting money that you were taller than.
We literally pulled out the tape measure at the restaurant.
Yeah.
In the owner's office.
It sounds like me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Anything you want to drop before we go?
I would just say, like, one of the biggest things that I've, experienced growing multiple different businesses is like, one, you have to have like an end in mind. Think about what you really want your life to look like, and that needs to be like super, super clear. I met a guy who like, if he wanted a Lambo, he was almost like going to the dealership, like literally like manifesting it. He could feel the steering wheel. He could feel everything. Like, you need to know what you want. And then once you know what you want, you can create a path to get there. And then there's going to be certain emotions that you have along the way. Most people know what they need to do to grow their business, but they don't do it. Or most people, they know what they need to do in order to get in shape, but they don't do it. So like, it's always action over emotion. You literally have to get rid of what your mind's telling you of why you shouldn't post on social media or go send 100 DMs or cold call. Like, it's literally, this is what I need to do to hit my goal, and you like have to do it. And that builds momentum. And once you lose that momentum, it's so hard to get back. Like, it's all about just keeping the ball rolling every single day, one day at a time.
Yeah, man, I think that's great. I'm looking forward to what you have to say. Are you speaking tomorrow or?
Yeah, tomorrow at 3 p.m.
I'm excited. You're gonna rock the house. You always do. So
yeah,
it's gonna be amazing to have you back. What's funny is you mentioned Chase. I told him to come out to this one because he wanted to speak at my first one.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I don't think you're ready for it. It's really what I was trying to tell him. But I felt like he's grown along. I helped him out with his social media game. So maybe the next one we'll have both you guys up there together.
Okay. Yeah, we could do it together. Yeah, that I feel like that would be a good one because we're both young. He was in the service side of business. I was as well. Social media. One thing I'll say about Chase, where I have like a lot of respect for him, is the guy doesn't take a day off. Like, go tell me the last day he's missed a post on social media. Never. Like, he's just been very, very consistent, which is why his success has been like that.
Oh, on social media, you're saying?
Yeah, and I don't know, it's not like I'm watching him run his business, but he seems like a guy who's very he's dedicated, right? But
I coach Chase. Let me tell you what makes Chase good. He takes action and he follows good instruction and he asks good questions. So I literally coached him on how to do social media.
Okay.
So you can ask him.
Yeah, you should be getting a rev share on that.
Oh, no, dude. I don't.
You want me to call him up right now?
Nah, I wish Chase is a great guy. I want him to just be super successful. He was one of my first students, and he was trying to grow on social media. If you look at his first videos that went viral, I said, go talk about how much your trucks cost, how much your tractors cost. Stop posting, because he was posting a bunch of nonsense back then, like of him being in cigars and smoking and stuff. I was like, bro, that ain't gonna work. You got to tell people how much of that truck, why it's the best one, make a polarizing statement about, because I made all the same mistakes. It's not like I'm an expert on social media, but I made a lot of mistakes and I didn't analyze the data. I just saw what shit hit and which stuff didn't.
Here's another thing. The sad part about social media is you could have the most beneficial video ever, like so much value you're providing, and the video could get 200 views. It could be the right 200 viewers, but the second you start flashing your Rolex, your car, your your vacation in Miami, or you walk like with like lifestyle motivation. Like that's the stuff that gets views, and people are playing the game because that's what goes viral. But that's just like unfortunate that that's the stuff that does go viral. So there's so much of that on social media, even though it could be like way more beneficial for people if they just watched the thing that's actually going to get them results.
Yeah, I was obsessed like anybody else in the beginning about trying to get post every day all the time, and now I'm just like, whatever we shoot, if it's something that I'm interested in, I'll post it on my Instagram stories. Or like if it's something I'm trying to motivate other people on, like I'm posting my Spanish stuff right now because I'm like, number one, I'm trying to be accountable to myself. So, but other than that, I'm just doing reels and doing those types of things and letting the editors throw out that what it is. I'm doing regular content. I'm not trying to be super purposeful with it, but I will tell you, looking at who I'm attracting, I realized that I need to be doing more stuff about what I'm really good at, which is business, entrepreneurship, like how to structure deals versus less of the walkthroughs, because even though those hit extremely well for me, people think I'm a builder. Like even though I have a contracting license and all that stuff, they don't a lot of times associate me as a real estate investor.
Well, and the hard part about social media as well is like, back in the day, meaning like a year or two ago, if you had 100,000 followers and you posted videos, like you were more likely to get more views because you had 100,000 followers, where I think that that's not the case anymore. And you could have an account with 2,000 followers that has the same potential to get views as somebody who has 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
Gary Vee talked about how he just created a new account on TikTok, and one had like 13 million followers and one didn't. And the one that's not getting, or that doesn't have any followers, getting the same amount of views as, the other one.
The only one I really care about growing is my YouTube, to be honest with you. Like that's the only one.
That's where you get your biggest payers.
Nah, I just feel like YouTube's an asset more than the other ones. Like if I get deleted on Facebook or Instagram, I'm really not going to care as much. I feel like YouTube has like legit value. It's like where I go to learn stuff. I feel like the other stuff is just influential and short form, and like
it's just it's dopamine hit, but you get somebody.
Speaking of that, like, dude, like, I don't know about you, but I am like, Mark Zucker's got my name. When I'm like, all he sends me is people getting like crushed by like semi trucks or falling off of stuff. I don't know if that's your guys' feed as well, but my legs will like jump. Like when and I'm like, and I'll feel it like when something like that happens. Do you?
I don't feel what you're feeling there, but the algorithm was weird a couple weeks ago. I was getting people having babies on my feed. I'm like, where is this stuff coming from? Like
I get
stuff,
half naked girls and people getting beat up.
Yeah, I get a lot of the beaten up, and even some stuff that's like I don't even want to talk about on here. Crazy. It was like for 1 week, and I'm like, what? And I read the comments, and people were like all saying the same thing. Like, where are these videos coming from? I just watched 3 girls have babies back to back to back, and then it was like my feed was back.
You know what? Maybe they were listening to you about ready to have a baby.
Could be.
Thanks, Zuckerbucks.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Guys, make sure you give us a 5-star review on this podcast. Kyle's always dropping gems, and he's always somebody that, like, I think he's got, like, an old soul. Like, you have a lot of wisdom. I don't think, like, anybody's got it figured out, but I think for such a young guy, you've really got a good grasp on where you want to go. And I think that continue to do that unbalanced version of yourself, though. That's the only thing I want to say, because that is something that is an obsessive type of thing that most people don't have. And you might need to cage it a little bit, but it's going to take you to where you want to go.
Yeah, I think it's just learning how to be more efficient with your time. Like I used to run a successful junk removal company, but then I'd be talking to people for 30 minutes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wasted my time, where I could just be doing something that's going to move the needle in my life. So for me, it's like, balance, but being more efficient in that 8 hours, because there's time, like I don't need 8 hours in a day to grow a successful business.
No.
So it's like just being more efficient in that time frame, and then I can pour, my energy into other buckets.
Right on, man. We'll appreciate it. All right, guys. Peace. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into our podcast right now. I am so happy that you are here. You are in the right spot to be getting inspired by other people that have just achieved their goals so that you can achieve your goals. Do me a favor. leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us grow, and give us comments and feedbacks. We read those. It helps us grow. The most important person in this podcast is the listener, right? And so if you give us your feedback, it will allow us to create a better podcast for you. And make sure you enjoy the show and leave us a 5-star review.